Good job, Jim. Yeah, I know that. Oh, great. All I know is when I look at it, it's a special Lexi's still been going to school. Special. The beauty of that is down here.
You don't notice it, so you're actually so bright light.
Yeah, I know. Two dogs and two cats are all right there. When you look at it. When I go and look at the stand, subject matter, which is
It's 6:30, I'm calling this meeting to order. Let's say the pledge of allegiance. Okay, the first thing I believe we need to do is, the first thing we need to do is make an adjustment to the agenda because this was posted that 2 trustees gave us, so that's considered, I guess, a legal meeting of this. So.
Mr. Supervisor, before we get into the
Okay.
meeting itself, if you're talking about having public comment.
Mike's on.
Excuse me?
You can't
I
hear.
don't think the mic's on.
Test.
What kind of meeting is this?
This is a 6:30 meeting for the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees.
Legal or illegal?
One of the issues I would like to just raise as a point, as a time constraint, there's a town elected meeting at 7 o'clock. Just for some preliminary discussion by the board, as far as it approaches 7 o'clock, how you want to handle that time constraint, whether or not you want to adjourn it to another time this evening, or if you would want to adjourn it for another time and date next week, or whatever that board decides to do, or close it, and then you'd have, and if you do close it, then you'd have to repost it. So my first question would.
Why does the illegal meeting of the electors have anything to do with it? We're here.
Can't hear you.
You're gonna have order in this?
It's
Talking to Mike, first of all, I gotta say, guys, there'll be no yelling. I will give you one warning and you're out of here, okay?
So, they can come after us with the illegal meeting. We're at the board, we set up a time, and here we are.
The board can set a time, and you did set a time. There also was a time set by the electors for 7 o'clock, and that board has been published, from what I understand from the clerk, and it has been posted, which I have not verified with the clerk, which then, and it's also my understanding that they've reserved the room. My only concern for this board is that if you continue to have your meeting through the 7 o'clock time period, it may cause us some issues regarding the Open Meetings Act and further issues regarding the moderator trying to conduct the meeting for the 7 o'clock meeting. The other part of that is if this board decides to adjourn and move to another room, or to put the divider up and run a meeting on this side, and then the electors run their meeting on the other side, my only concern would be if there's an issue regarding the electors being able to participate in both meetings. I'm just raising the issue.
Well, they'll have to decide for themselves what they want to do.
May I make a suggestion?
I'm not going to violate the Open Meetings Act for these electors.
Nobody said there is a violation.
There will be if we have a meeting and we don't allow them to have their meeting.
Is it so? Is there a definitive answer on that?
In the court system, the question is going to be whether or not it's been open and convenient, and the issue will become whether or not it's convenient, meaning when you have a meeting and the size of the room is too small, one. Number two, if the convenience of the reconvening of the meeting is on a holiday, the courts have said you can't do that because a holiday, that's a day that they can't do. In essence, I'm saying is that if we reconvene, or if we continue the meeting during the time in which the electors would otherwise be able to participate, but they'll not be able to participate for our meeting, then electors could say that it's not convenient for them to be able to participate when they've got a 7 o'clock meeting. And that's...
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, you may.
If we run on time at 7 o'clock, we have a budget meeting on Monday at 9 o'clock a.m. Why don't we just adjourn this meeting if we run out of time?
We would
pick it up on the budget meeting.
I could totally agree with you. We would recess this meeting so we don't have to repost.
The problem is that the clerk did not post the special meeting at all. The special meeting is illegally denominated as an annual meeting.
Okay, Steve, you can argue that with somebody, but as far as I know, it was
officially posted?
I saw it.
Posted in the Northwest Herald
It's
on
posted, it's posted.
It's posted.
February 13th.
It was not posted on the door on Monday.
It's posted
Sure
on the
was.
door.
It's been on the door for 15 days, Dave, or
It needs to
more.
be posted in 3 spots, so the question is, to the clerk would be, what locations were the 3 public postings of those notices?
Clerk, could you tell us where the 3 postings were for the buildings?
One was Northwest Herald, one on the front door, one on the door entering the area here. I also have another one at the food pantry
Facebook.
and Facebook.
You gotta stop these people from
The
shouting
website.
stuff.
Yeah, please don't. Please
Please keep it quiet or I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. There's gonna be no tolerance tonight, okay? So, you got your first warning, okay?
all right, I'm only going to give you one, then you're going to ask to be removed.
The clerk never sent a notice to the board members at all, never sent anything to the attorney, is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, I did not receive it from the clerk. I did not receive the petition, and there is no requirement, though, that the clerk send it to the attorney, nor is there a requirement for the clerk to send it to the board.
Are you expecting to be at that meeting?
I was not asked to do that.
The clerk, though, does have to leave early. All right, so time to move forward here. How do we, I'm referring to the attorney, how do we need to amend the meeting for tonight, for the agenda, basically? Or do we need to?
You would need to add a section for public comment, as you typically do, in your normal meetings.
You would add a public comment section within your agenda that would include the same 3 minutes that you usually do in your regular board meetings. Also, as a traditional point of order on that, I believe there's 1 minute at the end of it as well. 1 minute at the end, 3 minutes in the beginning, 1 minute at the end. So the agenda would reflect the normal agenda that you use in your special meetings with 3 minutes before and then 1 minute after discussions of new business. So if that would be a motion to approve the agenda for this evening for the Board of Trustees, I would need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion that we amend this agenda to include public comment.
Second.
Second by Mr. Anderson.
Discussion,
Discussion.
we can set where the public comment goes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's gonna go after the business.
Okay, let's have a vote on that. Oh, that was discussion. Is there a motion for that?
So the motion is to allow public discussion as required, but to put it after the board takes action.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Rakestraw. Any further discussion? Let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Beard?
Yes?
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
All right, so the electors will be after. Okay, so let's get to the very first item then, right? And it's presented by Mr. Rakestraw and Mr. Beard. I will read it exactly as stated. Number 1, discussion of retaining independent legal counsel to represent Mchenry Township as an intervener or other capacity in opposition to the action filed by the Mchenry and Nunda Township Road Districts against the Governor of Illinois and McHenry County in a misguided attempt to attack the Constitution and statutes allowing for the consolidation of townships into McHenry County and for possible action. Said suit was initiated without the consent of the Township Board, and despite the Township's Board support of the enacted laws giving the citizenry the chance to consolidate local governments to cut the size and expense of government. Said discussion of possible action is necessitated by the township attorney's announced conflict of interest and recommend to seek other counsel for this intervening suit. So, as a result of the agenda item, I prepared a memo and I forwarded it to the trustees regarding the issue regarding appointment and appointment counsel. The discretion, as I pointed out in the Moore case, as well as the statutory requirement. The appointment comes from the supervisor, however, with the advice and consent of the board. So the supervisor can't just appoint and get to enforce this board to take that action. It's the supervisor appoints, but this board consents to it. Okay, with that being said, I am bringing forth legal representative to do this. My suggestion would be David McCardle.
We need to have a motion in a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to have a motion to bring forth a candidate for the attorney. I need a second to that motion. Oh, and it would be David McCardle, who I'm proposing to bring forward. Can I get a second to that motion? Okay, no second. Then I'm going to have one more candidate that I'm going to bring forward at this time. That would be Joe Gottemeiler. I'm offering to bring forward. I motion that we bring Joe Gottemeiler forward as my appointment. We have a second to that motion.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah, you have to.
We have that back.
Okay, sorry.
I need a second. Being no second, gentlemen, I have no one else to bring forward at this time. I will have to do more research. Would this board have any suggestions?
Robert Hanlon.
I will not bring Robert Hanlon forward. His rate is way too expensive. It's double everybody else. I will not bring him forward.
Well, that puts us in a real pickle because of the conflict of our attorney.
Steve, I will bring you some more choices on Monday, or whenever we continue this meeting. No, I can't do it tonight. I can bring some more choices forward.
I think we'll have to file another intervention to stop this stymieing. This conflict was in for over 3 or 4 months, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? And you never bothered to come up with these people until now.
First of all, that is not true, Steve. First of all, you asked Mr. Militello to give us a list. He gave us a list. You didn't like anybody on that list. I think there was 7 attorneys, is my guess, somewhere in that number. Then you asked me.
This was an executive session.
Oh yeah, that's correct.
So I remind the chairman.
You're correct. You're correct. But in any case, what I want to say is, you didn't ask me for this until recently.
I think we're going to have to file a separate action because this is intolerable.
Then you do what you have to do, Steve.
It's intolerable as the first case was.
Do what you have to do. All right.
I want you to explain why you put McCardle first.
I put McCardle first because I feel he's a very competent attorney. He's been in practice for a long time. He has experience in both municipal and township law, and he would charge a rate of $200 per hour for all legal fees. First of all, compared to this person you suggested who wants, I was told, $400 an hour, that's unacceptable. We can't afford that at this township.
So that's the entire basis of it?
No.
What is Gottemeiler's charge?
We could take Gottemeiler forward. He told me he's out of town. He gave me a verbal commitment of $175 an hour.
When did you have all these conversations?
Shortly after our executive session, I emailed both McCardle and I emailed Hanlon, and he never got back to me. And
Emailed them what?
I emailed him asking for a letter of agreement. And then I talked to Mr. Gottemeiler a couple of days ago to see if he would be interested. They would both be interested. And their fees are reasonable.
You're not talking about the reasonable fees, you're talking about the efficiency of the attorney.
This board wants to save the township residents tax dollars. So you want to hire an attorney that's double the cost of any other attorney around here that I can find. I'm sure there's somebody else in his range, but most of them aren't.
Look,
No, I have the floor. So, I am not going to bring Mr. Hanlon forward, period. Do what you have to do.
and your reason for not bringing him forward?
Two reasons. One, I just told you, his hourly rate. And number two, I've looked at what has happened in Algonquin, and I don't feel that he is represented. He's had a lot of cases down there, and there was one in the paper yesterday that he didn't even bother to file a response to. So why would I want to hire someone like that?
What did McCardle and,
Microphone.
what did McCardle and or Gottemore have to say about Hanlon?
They didn't really say anything. I never really asked them about that.
Did you tell him that the board wanted him?
No, I did not.
So are you saying here and now that you never mentioned Hanlon to the other two?
I might have mentioned Hanlon to McCardle, but I don't think I ever mentioned it to Gottemore.
And what was McCardle's response?
Being a typical lawyer, really didn't have a response.
What's that case in the Grafton Township, Mr. Molotov, that was reversed? The circuit judge was reversed in Mchenry by the appellate court that said the board has the determination.
Good question. It was the Moore case. The specific case came out of McHenry County. There was actually a lot of issues at hand. The issue that went up on appeal was the issue regarding the supervisor appointing an attorney and then compelling on an injunction the board to accept that appointment. And the court said the language within the statute talks about advice and consent. And that meaning, yes, you, the supervisor, have the right to appoint and bring that candidate. However, at the same token, the board has then the authority to then consent to that approval. And to do otherwise would interfere and violate the separation of powers and the judicial system interfering with the local government.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, I brought these two candidates forward. Would there be I guess I will bring this up one more time, because it's just going to take us longer, and I know you're in a hurry to get this done.
Why don't you just ask township officials of Illinois who should have?
Why should I ask them that question?
Because you're obviously getting advice from them.
I have not talked to the township officials of Illinois about anything. Mr. Vera, that's a false statement. And please watch yourself. You're going to libel yourself.
You're going to what?
You're going to libel me.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Let's move
You're
on.
making false statements. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go on to number 2.
All right, let's go on to number 2.
Read that one, please.
Number 2, discussion of courses of action to be taken by the township board to safeguard township funds from being misused to fund unmandated township bus service, which was voted by the board to be discontinued. Said bus service had been originally instituted before the establishment of McHenry County McRide bus service. Also currently funded by McHenry Township, rendering the township bus service redundant and wasteful, particularly given the county bus service is far superior in terms of hours of daily and weekly operations. McBride hours, weekly operations, 81, 7 days a week. Township bus, 30 hours, 5 days a week. Plus McBride's geographical area of operations, about 10 times the area covered by the township bus line. Even in the face of nearby McHenry County Township even in the face of other nearby McHenry Township elimination, the bus lines long ago, a group of electors have publicly threatened to upsert the township's board power to control spending of taxpayer funds to continue the costly and duplicated township bus line, which also imposes long-term taxpayer costs in the form of future pensions.
Possible action to be taken to safeguard.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Possible action would be to safeguard these funds.
So that's a discussion. Does the township attorney have anything to add?
I don't know that we can have discussion before we have a motion. Can we?
No, it says discussion of courses of action. I want to know
Oh,
what
okay.
they are.
I'll find that.
Oh, you're.
Consulting the township attorney. No.
I assume item number 2 is in relevance to the 7 o'clock meeting regarding the electors.
Perhaps.
The section which is relative to electors is found at 60 ILCS 220/15. And that section talks about certain authorities and actions by the electors. It's premature for me to comment as far as whether they have or have not complied with that statute, so I can't advise the board whether they've done it right or not done it right. So that's something we'd have to look at, number one. Number two, as far as safeguarding and doing things, the Attorney General back in '96 came down with an opinion, and it's been followed by the courts as well. They basically said the Township Code provides for electors, and it provides for a township board. And there's certain powers that the township board has, and there's certain powers that the electors have. And the powers of the electors are those that are defined within that, and they cannot exceed that. And so, at this point, I'm not sure that the board needs to do anything to safeguard anything. The board can't take the money and put it in a lockbox. You just can't do that. The question is, what do you do as a board? You adopt budgets, you adopt levies, you pay bills, you approve bills. Those are the types of things. So I don't know whether or not the electors have met their burden within or whatever they're doing. And I can't advise the board, and I'd be more than happy to advise the board whether they have once I know what they've done. But at this point in time, as far as doing something, I'm not sure that I would advise the board to do anything at this point.
Well, we're going to need courses of action from you. It seems to me that since money could be put in a lockbox for a specific reason, which has been done by this board with the approval of the road district commissioner, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. If he approved, that's a different story.
I'm talking about the money for the bridges that was put in a lockbox just for that.
That's a whole other topic. I don't know what that
No,
is.
it isn't. We're talking
Okay.
about putting things in a lockbox,
Okay.
and now I'm talking about,
There is no lockbox in township finance that I'm aware of.
well, we voted for one,
I don't think you did.
Mr. Militello, can you?
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be financially responsible, and one of the ways to be financially responsible is making sure the funds are deposited with a fiduciary place, a bank, savings, that has proper FDIC insurance so that there's no issues regarding liabilities regarding those. In fact, those funds, you have to be careful that you don't have too many deposits in one specific location as well, because otherwise you don't have enough insurance or collateral to secure that sometimes. But again, my recommendation from a township, your funds, you have your funds deposited right now with secure banking institutes. At this point, I would discourage any withdrawal of those funds and place them.
It doesn't say how much money they possibly could take action on tonight. And you yourself don't know as attorney, right?
And that's what I'm saying. I don't know what that is, and I don't know what's being passed. All I can tell you is the statute that the electors have referenced in their notice. There's certain requirements in that, and I'd be happy to talk about that with the board as far as what those requirements are on Monday.
The budget hearing that we should have some protection of what we think should be done here. At that time, that we explain to us exactly what happened, you'll know whether it was a legal meeting at that time, and then find out how much money they want to transfer?
It'll take us that long to get through that last section that we have to talk about, and then we could have this at 10:30.
So this will be, this meeting here that if we adjourn it now, will be at 10:30 Monday, is that
Yeah.
correct?
And I'm
Not
not
going to adjourn it, we're going to reconvene.
Or reconvene, okay, thank you.
We're going to recess and reconvene.
Is that a reasonable amount of time for you, Mr. Motel? Because we're really talking about Monday morning.
Everything that happens, I'll have to get a copy from the clerk, and I don't anticipate any reason why the clerk wouldn't get that to me by Monday.
Okay, with that being said, we're running out of time.
Can I ask a question?
Quickly, because we're running out of time.
Well, we have, don't we have a certain amount of time that we have to give the notice within that time frame?
No, we're going to continue the meeting, so we don't have to, the regional no stands, and then they can come to that meeting and give public comment after the end of our meeting. Okay, so with that, again, I make a motion to recess and to reconvene on Monday, March 2nd, 2020, after our budget hearing meeting, and the time of this meeting will be 10:30 a.m. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? None being heard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Vera, did you?
You say no.
Okay, he says no, so we have one.
But it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. So the motion has passed, and we will reconvene Monday, March 2nd, after our budget hearing at 10:30 a.m. This meeting is concluded at this point in time because of the. I guess I wouldn't say concluded. I'm adjourning the meeting so as not to violate the electors open meeting. And so it is adjourned about 1 minute to 7. The electors, as soon as the board clears the table, you can come over here to this table.
Please have your attention.
We will now open for the legal meeting. The pledge of, if everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. First thing on the agenda is nomination for a moderator.
I nominate John Credo.
I second.
I nominate.
Okay, first. And that was by Sue. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All ayes? John McCready, you are nominated.
Popular man.
If you please stop up.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, John, or say your whole name.
I, John McCredo,
Have been elected
have been elected,
by the office of moderator
have been elected to the office of moderator
in the township of McHenry,
in the township of McHenry,
in the county of
in
McHenry,
the county of McHenry,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of this United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
and I will faithfully discharge my duties as the officer of moderator.
I will faithfully,
Faithfully
there's too many
discharge.
words there for you, Dan.
I gave you that.
Faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the office of,
the office of moderator
to the best of my
to the
ability.
best of my ability.
Amen.
Amen.
Here, why don't you sit?
Next item on the agenda. Election of a parliamentarian.
I nominate Mike Toller.
I think first from Mike Toller, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, John Sheriff and Brian Arnold. We now have a parliamentarian. Mike. Oh,
See, I'm already doing the
yeah, I know, thank you, sir. That was our parliamentarian. First was Jamie Rouse.
Jaimee.
R-O-U-S.
I think Rhonda got it. Second.
I got a second.
We had a tie over here, Rhonda.
We got it.
All right.
Okay, do you, like, take a vote on, whether Mike to become our parliamentarian? Any, all in favor? Aye. Any nays? Anybody abstain? Come on up, Mike. It's almost as if I was prepared for this. Where am I signing? Third line. Having reviewed the documentation in front of me, it appears that this meeting is properly in order. At this time, we'll open the meeting for public comment.
Take a seat.
The first on the list is Peter Geis. Gussie.
Hi, Peter.
Peter Gussie, Wonder Lake. Keep this short. I just wanted to say, continue to support what this group is doing, trying to knock back every attempt that they're doing to take away our services. How's that? Okay. I'll keep this short. I just want to say I continue to support this group's efforts to turn back any attempts by the trustees to take away services from the residents of our township. Thank you.
Next, we have Judith Gottlieb.
It's okay, I don't need to.
Okay. Brian Arnold.
Brian Arnold, Wonder Lake. I just need to say, I don't think any of this is necessary because we have the vote coming up on March 17th, and I think we, the people of this community, are going to win the vote. And I don't think there are enough people out there to defeat us. We're going to win. We are going to win.
Unfortunately, the vote on the bus is a non-binding, and the board has already.
However, the township is binding.
The township is binding.
And with the township comes the bus.
No, not necessarily.
No, they voted, they're getting rid of it. That's why we're getting rid of it.
Next is William King. William King.
Can I stand over here and just yell?
No, come on up. Nice try.
Nice try.
If you get the mic, you can take it over that way.
Bill King, Mchenry. I wasn't going to say anything because I had something prepared for the other meeting, but I'm just flabbergasted at the attitude that we have. The atmosphere is so much better now than it was a half an hour ago. Thank you.
Next, we have Terry Campbell.
Good evening. To overcome the tyranny of three who think that their views are more important than the power of we, the state has granted us this power to collectively vote on what is best for our citizens. And I also want to note that the three who would be tyrants and force their will upon us didn't think enough of our needing to stay and have their seat as well. Thank you.
Dorothea King.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dorothea King. Welcome so much. You are all so beautiful. I've been coming to these meetings. I started years ago when there were usually only 2 or 3 of us in the audience, and it was so painful to have to bear the brunt of the stuff you saw happening up here all alone. So I'm so sorry. If this is your first exposure to the behavior of this township board, I feel like I have to apologize to all of you because this is not reflective of our community, and we all know that. And we are here for each other. We care about each other. We love each other, and we are fiscally responsible. We don't have agendas to hurt our neighbors. We care about each other. And I just want to I hope you continue to come. Hope you continue to support the township. It is a beautiful place. Thank you.
Anybody else who want to comment? Okay.
Dave Trost, Mchenry. I did have a full 3 minutes worth of talking that I was going to do before, but I just sort of wanted to get to my conclusion. I have no control over global issues that affect all of us, but I try to do things that will have a reflection in, with my fellow citizens. The trustees are trying to do harm to the most vulnerable of our citizens, and does this affect me directly? No, but it affects my fellow citizens, and so it affects me. And I think these guys, the trustees, have done more to bring both Republicans and Democrats together in a bipartisan group to save this township, and it's really remarkable. As a result, I'd like to have a selfie with the guy with the Trump hat. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Janet, you coming up?
This is Jay. Jay from Mchenry.
One more time into the mic for us.
Jay from Mchenry, or Jeanette, if you want the real name. Okay, so. Okay. So we need this bus because there's a lot of people that need to get to places, and this is the only way that they can do it. I do not understand why we just can't keep this bus. I mean, I just don't understand the services that are needed. I have friends at work that use this service. I have customers at Jewel that need this service. Customers that are here today at Jewel. We don't have customers. We don't have a bus. We don't have customers. We don't have customers. I don't have a job. I know that's not the point here, but I went to Montini for 7 years, and we learned, well, I don't know what I learned. I struggled through school, but one of the things that they always said was, do unto others as you do unto themselves. Now, if the board members wants us to respect them and do unto themselves, or whatever the saying is, why can't they do it for us? Do unto others as you do unto yourself. We need this bus. We're all going to need it one day. Why not just, I see signs out and people taking signs down.
Thank you. Start wrapping up, Jeanette.
It's 3 minutes? Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I didn't know 3 minutes were up. 3 minutes are up. Do unto others as you do unto them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm Rhonda Spore from Mchenry, and I'm going to keep this very short. I'm thankful for everybody here, and I want you to continue when these guys, these three trustees, tell the lies, tell half-truths, do not keep to the facts. I love that this group calls them out publicly and in the newspaper in any way they can do it, because these guys are not telling the truth. That's we all know. Thank you very much.
Don?
I kind of feel like this is a third edition of the Three Blind Mice versus the Mob. I mean, we have been here how many times, I don't know. But all the remarks I had in mind, I'm going to put aside to this sheet that you have, where these three people are saying that our bus is redundant and wasteful. They don't mention the difference between McBride and ours is that we are curb, they are curb to curb, we are door to door. And for senior citizens who have a bad knee, a bad hip, bad eyesight, can't drive.
Throw it out the window. I'm just jamming buttons.
Am I really that bad? But anyway, we need that because we're talking about door to door. And if we talk about people with disabilities, oh my God, door to door. And these people work harder to be independent than we do. And we have businesses in Mchenry Township that hire these people and want to keep them because they work harder than I do. And these people want to be independent. So they have to have this. The places they work for sometimes schedule their hours around the buses. The big thing when you talk to anybody, the big difference, contrary to what they're saying in here, the big difference is we are door to door, not curb to curb. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Elsie Munson. I live up in the Stakey Highlands. I came to the first meeting we had about the bus service. The trustees didn't have the courtesy to show up and hear what we had to say. A big difference between the McBus and the township bus, like he said, is door to door. Also, they're dependable. My brother takes the McBus. They can be a half hour early, late to pick him up. He can be on the bus for an hour and a half to go from Pioneer Center to his house on the west side of Crystal Lake. That's not service. We need to encourage everyone we know to vote no for the township. That's what we can do now, between now and the election on the 17th. You're talking to a brick wall trying to talk to these three trustees. We've said this over and over again. They don't listen. I don't know where they come up with their numbers for the savings. But thank you.
Any other comments? Connie?
Sherry Wright from Mchenry. She was talking about the differences in the buses, and I have a story that, first of all, I have to thank you all for doing this and being so diligent. It does affect. Oh, that's the first time anybody ever said that. My daughter's 35. She has mental incapacity, whatever they're calling it this day, and epilepsy. She rode the big Pace bus, had a seizure on the bus because she was sick and throwing up. She doesn't have all of her mental capabilities. She's in stress from not feeling well, and they put her off the bus in a parking lot.
An abandoned car dealership.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
She had her phone, so we tried to figure out, because all she can know is, yeah, it's by the place where we eat. You know, so we went through a whole bunch of this, and we just started driving around, and we found her, and she was still throwing up. This is why we need that bus. This is why, and I really do need to thank you all, because, especially, you know, and also, I am the director of River East Library, the little library on 120 and Lily Lake Road. We use kids, adults from Pioneer. They schedule around their hour. That's really all they come, is an hour. And these schedulers, and if they're here, they're wonderful. You often have to call and say, my daughter is sick, we have to go get her, she won't be riding the bus. Sometimes as late as an hour before. And they're like, okay, no problem, let us know how it goes. So it's a big difference, so I just, I hope that you understand how important it is, and I'm sure you do, but thank you all.
Come on up, Linda.
Linda Toller, Wonder Lake.
And I also had a wonderful 3-minute speech prepared that unfortunately our cowards, our board members didn't want to hear. So I'm just going to finish off with the last point that I had to state, which is that this township is amazing. There's just a couple things wrong with it. 3 things. And those are temporary. Eliminating the township is not. Stand together. This place is amazing. Look at all of you. We can beat them.
Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Rich Marcinek. I live in Mchenry. My wife and I are here tonight for the second time. Flabbergasted by what I saw tonight. Not impressed at all. Like I said, we've lived here for 2 years. We came from Lyle. My wife worked in the senior center there. Spent a lot of time arranging bus trips for seniors, taking seniors on bus trips. We know how important the bus is. We also know from the last meeting that the bus is really just a stepping stone to eliminating the township. So, my words and my thoughts are this. You can vote in many ways. You can vote at the ballot box. You can vote with your time. You can put signs in front of your house. I'll apologize, I don't have any now, but I will tomorrow. You can vote by calling your neighbors, letting them know. You can vote with your wallets. Think about that. And please, just give it some thought. Vote your conscience, but please vote.
Any other comments? None being seen, that move on the comment portion of our meeting. On to new business. Transferring of McHenry Township funds for the benefit of the senior citizens in McHenry Township pursuant to 60 ILCS 1/220-15. Discussion and possible action. This is the resolution we'll be voting on. Resolution number 02282020. Transfer of the surplus general town funds to the Senior Express Fund, McHenry Township, McHenry County, Illinois. By the way, we're going to have a copy of this. Whereas 60 ILCS 1/220-15 authorizes the legal voters of a township at an annual meeting or a special meeting call for that purpose to transfer surplus general town funds to provide the services or facilities for the older inhabitants described in this article, 60 ILS 1/220-15. Whereas the Board of Trustees of McHenry Township have declared $1,900,000 in surplus in the general township fund, whereas the electors of McHenry Township desire to transfer surplus funds from the general town fund to the Senior Express Fund. Now therefore, be it resolved and ordained by the electors of McHenry Township assembled at the special annual meeting of McHenry Township, McHenry County, Illinois, that it is hereby directed that surplus fund the amount of $150,000 in the general town fund of McHenry Township be hereby transferred to the Senior Express Fund of McHenry Township, McHenry County, Illinois. The transfer of this money is for the purpose of continuing the McHenry Township Senior Express bus service in exactly the same manner as it is currently operating through March 31st of 2021. Any discussion?
Motion to adopt.
We need a first to adopt.
Motion?
We have a motion by Sue.
I'll second.
Second.
And a second by Ron. All right, any discussion? Go ahead, Judy.
I'm not 100% sure on the specifics of it,
But the reason that it's $150,000 is that the township trustees have sucked us so dry with everything else that we don't have the reserves in place to be able to fully fund the bus service for a year without putting other services at risk. So I believe that it's not going to be, I think we had to lose a driver or a bus or something like that, or is it exactly the same as what it was?
Jenny, to answer your question, they actually only budgeted 100, correct, in their budget. They $116,000 actually is what they budgeted.
Right, that they zeroed out.
That's the figure that they wrote out.
Yeah.
2 meetings ago, they took it out of the budget. That's why we're having this meeting today.
Right, but it's not at the same level of service because it was 300,000.
No, we're gonna reduce the number of drivers. I think we're gonna go from 5 to 3 or 4 part-timers. I'm not sure the numbers.
Yeah, I just want everyone to understand where the money, where the numbers came from, and when we don't have the same level of service and everything, it's because we're trying to think in the best interest of the township to be able to do this for the entire year and not have to do another meeting and pull more money out.
Go ahead, Terry.
I have a question about the grants that we've had in the past. Will we still have those?
No, we will not. The board has to authorize Craig to apply for those grants. That's something we may be able to discuss on in the future, but at this point, it's not on the table.
At like the electors annual meeting?
The electors can't apply
It's too late for the annual meeting. Go ahead, Mr. King.
Thank you. I have a question about the surplus. It says transfer surplus general town funds. Are you referring to the 1.9 million?
No, we're changing $150,000 of the 1.9.
Can you explain those two numbers, please?
Well, one is a surplus. The 1.9 is a surplus general fund. It's money that they had to sit in the bank accounts, literally, collecting interest for us. And we're doing this as a general fund. We're taking $150,000 of that 1.9 to continue operating the bus through March of 2021.
So if there's 1.9 million, why are we limiting ourselves to 150,000? I guess I don't understand that.
I think it funds all the services, the township. Yes, the 1.9.
Well, here's my understanding of that. Like I said, the township themselves budgeted $116,000. They agreed to reduce the number of drivers down to 4 part-time drivers and be able to maintain the same level of service. We thought that was great. So we're going to fund the exact same service we had with fewer dollars being spent, if you will.
Well, it's also to protect some of the reserve.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I just want to make a point that some people know and some don't. This is not a free service that we're passing on to the senior citizens or the handicapped. They do pay a fee when they take a bus ride to and from, unless they can't afford it. So this isn't just a gift that we're going out of the goodness of our heart. They do pay their way.
It's also to preserve.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, it's also a lot of it is to preserve, we don't want to take more than we absolutely have to take because we have to, you can't hear me? We don't want to take more than we have to take because we need to preserve some of the township's reserves. And so we're already dipping into it. The levee's been flat for a long time. We're already dipping into it. So we're trying to be as responsible as possible. We want to keep the buses running for the most important routes. Yes, it's going to be a cut, but it's still going to be running.
I can't hear you. Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, did I describe that? Did you guys hear me okay though?
Oh, yeah, no.
She's standing right next to me. So, the money that we're dipping into, the 1.9 million, is part of the county's reserves, or is the county's reserves. Township, excuse me, thank you, the township's reserves. And that's an important thing for us to keep in case there is something that needs to be repaired, replaced, some kind of, that we're gonna need that money for. So, the decision was to keep the buses running. There is going to be a slight reduction in services, but it's still going to be serving the most people, and that's how we came up with the $150,000. I think some of the drivers, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the drivers who were full-time and are part-time So they were trying to, and that, does a reduction in salaries and things like that. Same area is gonna be covered, it's still all of Mchenry Township.
Remember, we quoted as saying that you keep the bus service exactly the same manner as it currently is operating. It's very important. But the other thing I wanted to address Mr. King's comment, these are non-tax levy dollars. It's very important. Keep that in mind. Go ahead, Ron.
Can we, as a town, now, of course, hopefully this is only for a year because we'll keep the township and we'll get rid of the three. But, getting onto it, can we kind of make donations and have, hey, like the lemonade stand, like that one was doing, like fundraisers and stuff to get more money for the buses, so the drivers won't be hauling as much and have the same services.
That's illegal there.
That's illegal? That's legal? Okay.
The riders can make donations on the bus itself.
Yeah, that's good.
If you want to make a donation, my last name is spelled A.
Any other comments or discussion? None being heard? All right, I remind everyone here that we have about 101 people here right now, and in order to pass this, we need 2/3, which will be 67 people.
We have the motion. This is discussion.
All right, so if you want to answer yes to continue the bus service, raise your card.
And 41. Did you count her? Did you count her? No.
And them?
Yeah, 43, 59 and 42.
100.
We did it.
Did you count all them? Debbie? Debbie? Okay. Did you count them? Yes.
Sue, did you get your picture?
I did. All right.
Okay, thank you for voting. Anybody vote no? Do we have any no's in the crowd? Do you have any no's in the car? None being seen? Do we have one?
Is that a no?
Are you a no?
That's my yes.
Say it one more time.
That's my yes.
Oh, you got another yes.
If you do not want to pass this resolution, the answer would be no. Do we have any no's in the crowd? None being seen? Do we have any that want to abstain? 100%. And it is a full 100%.
That's going to be questioned by this.
Job, everyone. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we before we get for the motion of adjourn, I think we should all really quick say a big thank you to everybody that works here at the township that stayed late tonight to make sure that this happens. And the police officers as well that came here and spent their time. And we need a motion to adjourn.
Second. Second. Who is? Wait, right here first.
Meeting is adjourned.
It's all yours. Thanksgiving time, take them off.
We're every day. That's great. That's great. You know, it's funny. I'm totally on the other side of the fence, but it's really cool that we're on the same side. It's really great. I want to be on the right hand side, but otherwise I'll see again these things.
Nice. You want me to take a picture?
Hey, what's your name? Hey, John. Dave. Good to meet That was the best.
And he's got township check out his Facebook page. Like today's comments, they're all just notable. And he's been referring to actually deleting comments, which, you know, that's an ECL, right? You know, that's a friend.
How's that coach doing?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, I had that already. I was using it on Monday at the budget meeting. I'm just standing here and
my daughter actually has a coffee shop.
yeah, see, that's what you see. This is the guy who I got it
At least we're getting it done, right?
got myself in I'll have to catch it. I have to say, we can't get all Somebody will be seeing by tomorrow.
I assumed it had to be done, but I'm sitting here thinking, why would
blocking him and why he was elected by the people of the taxpayer.
You were here, right? At the meeting, the meeting? Oh, yes. I was right in front.
No, he never, whenever we put this public comment, he will always look down and laughing, or laughing. And then when Jamie, the other day, this budget meeting, when Jamie was mentioning stuff, too much chicken and this and no. And, you know, it was like, he doesn't have to. I think when I did it again, I yelled at him. I said, I have the floor. I have the floor. And I was like, man, shut up. I just want to ask, can I have my time restored?
Yes.
see you again. Thank you for,
I want to know
I got around. I could probably budget down there. I could budget down there with the gator.
It makes for interesting discussions, but I was totally He has